Hey guys, it is Julia and Marco back again with a bonus episode. We're going to try to do more Cincy Brewery news as stuff comes up as some of our bonus content. The first one being that today, as of this recording, the 27th, is Ohio Pint Day, which there's always a local Ohio artist that designs some amazing artwork that goes on a pint glass, and then a limited number of those glasses go to any number of participating breweries in the entire state of Ohio. And it's just very interesting because there are some years that I remember those glasses go fast, like within an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, they're gone from certain breweries. And other years, you still see them at those breweries being offered like a week or two later. And this year feels like a year where they are going fast.
They are going super fast.
Super fast.
Super fast. I know at the place that I don't work at, we open at 11:30, and by 4 o'clock, we were going through the 3 boxes of glasses that we had.
Yeah, and that's what I've kind of seen at a lot of social media posts, like, hey, we have these, we don't know how long they're going to last. A couple hours later, they're posting, hey, we're sold out of the glasses, but please still come in and have a pint. The design this year is amazing. It's fantastic. But yeah, Ohio Pint Day is something really, really cool. If you're able to get one of the glasses, it's always fun. It's always an amazing design. I think I only have one glass, just because, again, depending on my work schedule, when I'm able to get to a brewery, what time they open, what time the glasses get there, you either have time to get one or you don't. And this feels like one of those years where you don't, which adds to the kind of exclusivity conversation that happens with beer releases and stuff like that when it falls on a weekday.
So live update, Julia, as of 7 p.m., Greenworks still has some glasses. That's 7 p.m. as we record on a Tuesday.
By the time this episode comes out. If I can get this episode out tomorrow along with our calendar episode, I will. But if your sole purpose is to go to one of the local breweries just to get a glass, call them first, see if they still have them. And for God's sake, if you show up to a brewery hoping to get one of these glasses and they are out of them, still buy a pint of beer, still support those breweries. It's not their fault. They are only allocated a certain number of glasses. Like, I don't believe the breweries pick how many they get. I mean, you could tell me. It's kind of iffy.
Yeah, it's not. That's not on my end. I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't order those. And I don't know if that was a decision made before I came on board or if it was a company-wide decision across all the brands.
Yep.
But
still, support the breweries, whether they have a pint day glass or not. They do look awesome. Kind of sad if I don't get one, but at the same time...
Yeah, they do look awesome.
Yeah.
And that could play a bit into it. I mean, because there have been... photos on social media about the glasses, and they look fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, they look really, really good. But I have to think it's a combination of things, right? Mm-hmm. Breweries putting out lists that they're going to have the glasses looking awesome, you supporting your local brewery. And, if you show up for the glass, like you said, and they're out, then, I mean, they're out. And I get if your quest is to find the glass, like, there's a lot of places around.
Sure.
Where maybe...
There are lots of pockets where you can hit up a bunch of places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are pockets where you can hit up a place and maybe one place is out and another place 2 miles, 3 miles down the road, less than 5 miles has a glass. And so that's cool too. And that's part of the experience is maybe you actually don't normally go to the one that you end up buying a glass from, but you have a pint and then you enjoy your day and you enjoy the space, that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool to have that sort of fervor for this, and that was the intention. Right, the intention was to build a demand
for a limited product.
Exactly. And to support local.
And I think that we've talked about this before in the vein of limited/exclusive beer releases. Like, some breweries are doing their very limited beer releases in the middle of the week, like at noon on a Wednesday or a Thursday or something, to where most people, they're working, they're at their jobs, they can't just step out for, to go to a brewery to try to get, a bottle, a can, a 4-pack, 6-pack, whatever it might be of this beer. But then that also plays into how important is it to you to get this particular item, because they've been talking about it for a couple weeks now on social media. Like, hey, this is coming. This is the design this year. This is happening. If it's something that is that important to you, maybe try to work around whatever your current schedule is to try to ensure you're at one of your favorite breweries to get one when they open.
Wouldn't that be amazing if 2, 3, 4 years from now that it was a day that was so big that people were actually putting in PTO time for, and breweries were actually like staffing up big, and
that would be awesome.
Doing a big thing for Ohio Pint Day. That would be awesome.
So guys, let's make this happen. The next 2-3 years, make there be such a demand for this that the group that does Ohio Pint Day actually has to petition. This needs to be an Ohio holiday. Can't guarantee it means you get off work that day, but have it be something official on the books this day. Don't be surprised if half of your workforce requests off so that they can go out and get one of the absolutely amazing... Like every year, the last several years, the designs have been wonderful.
I think it's been 3.
3? They've all been amazing. I know that I didn't get the first year. If it has been, I didn't get the first year's glass.
It might be
I want to say it's been longer than that, but I could be completely wrong.
3? 4?
It would like 4 or 5, but I think 3 or 4 sounds right. But I mean, again, the way that I've been going today, I don't know anything anymore. I don't know what I'm doing, so don't take my word for how long Ohio Pint Glass Day has been happening.
It's been fun.
It's been amazing.
It's been fun.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other news that has kind of recently come out in social media is about Paradise Brewing, specifically their Anderson location. They are closing down the homebrew store section of their business, and they're just going to be brewery only. Yeah,
so this is big from a couple of different fronts. That they started off as a homebrew shop,
correct? Right,
and then became a brewery,
right?
How so many commercial brewers came into commercially brewing is through home brewing.
Right.
And of course there are many that didn't. There are many that sat at a bar, drank beer, and had a passion for beer and craft beer, and decided that, hey, if you ever need an extra hand, and you went behind the curtain and made some beer, or maybe did some bartending shifts, and then
signed up for the brewery program at Cincinnati State. Yeah.
But so many people that actually produce beer started in home brewing, and home brewing is a whole nother arm of the Craft Brewers Association.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so for there to be one less place locally where you can go and speak to an expert, or somebody who is a learned, let's say, and I get how people don't like, in many terms they're humble and don't want to be labeled with titles, such as in craft brewing, the term brew master is very, very they don't love the term,
right?
Unless you're somebody who went through all of these, classically trained through higher education experiences to be termed a quote unquote brew master. They don't like the term. They'd rather be called brewer, head brewer, production man, all these other things. But that title is something that is reserved for the most educated of educated. Yeah, so we had a little bit of a break, little impromptu break.
Talking to some amazing people.
One of the patrons here, and actually a contributor to our podcast.
Yes, Jake.
Congratulations, Jake. Jake closed on a new house yesterday, and then surprised his longtime girlfriend with a proposal.
Yes.
So they are engaged.
So exciting.
And so we took a break to hear the story and congratulate them.
And then also Mo walked in as well.
Yes, regular
Love Mo.
Love Mo. Walked in and said hi with her dog.
And then she said, "Do you want some brisket that I made?" And we went, Yes, we do. So it's been a good night.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of fun. But to pick back up where we were, yes. I mean, so the term brewmaster all the way to head brewer, that kind of thing, and whatever. But yes, so many of us, and I'll say us because I was one of the people who was homebrewing and who got in the craft beer business and then essentially wound up finding a way to work my way into the craft beer business full time. But home brewing is, for so many people, a way of a passion and enjoyment, a hobby. Mm-hmm. It's a huge hobby, and for anybody who's out there thinking about doing it, you should do it. And for anybody who's out there wondering, well, I'm not sure. No, it's definitely something worth exploring.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with Paradise closing down the homebrewing shop portion of their business, so they're just going to be 100% brewery, which is, I think it's if you look at the big picture, I feel like it's good news because it gives them a chance to focus on the absolutely amazing beers that they make.
Yeah.
And they even said it just, after the pandemic with everything else, it just wasn't a financially viable part of their business. So it's not something to where they're like, we need to completely close down shop entirely, no more Paradise anything. It is just the homebrew store portion of their business, which, since I'm not a home brewer, it doesn't really impact me the way that it might impact, say, you or any number of people that use their expertise, as you said, to break into craft beer.
Right.
But I do know that it will leave a bit of a gap in, I guess, that part of town. The only places that I'm aware of that also sell homebrew equipment are Party Source in Kentucky and Listerman. There might be more. I'm just not aware of that.
Jungle Gyms does.
Is it Jungle Gyms as well? Okay.
Yeah, but what you're not getting at Jungle Gyms that you did get at Paradise is that personal interaction.
Yeah,
that experience where you could speak to somebody. Right. I mean, when you go into Jungle Gyms for home brewing supplies and equipment, you're grabbing a kit off the shelf.
You're not talking to another home brewer.
No.
Right. You might, but chances of that are
you might
slim.
Bump into one, but
sure.
There's nobody on staff that I'm aware of that is actually, hey, I have a question about home brewing. Mm-hmm. Who do I ask?
Right, but I have a strong suspicion that if you get a Paradise to get a beer and you start talking to someone there and mention homebrewing, they're still going to help you out. They can't sell you anything. They're not going to have any product to sell you, like, oh, try these hops or, this malt or this piece of equipment. But I'm sure that expertise that they have, they are still going to be more than happy to share it with you, to talk about it with you. So it certainly isn't a one door closing, another door opening situation.
Right.
In my head, it's a portion of the business that, if they tried to keep it up and running, maybe it would have caused the entire Paradise brand to not be able to do what they wanted to do. So now they're able to focus on making absolutely amazing beers, focusing on, the taproom experiences. Yes, it's sad that a chunk of their business is going away. I'm not trying to say that, it's still a shame in that aspect, but I'm glad that they were able to make a financial decision for their business that keeps their business open, as opposed to, like we talked about last week, Rolling Mills, Rebel Metal,
right,
to where whatever those financial situations were, they did not have any way of continuing operations.
And I will give a shout out to Basic Brewing Radio. That is a podcast, Basic Brewing. They are also on YouTube. They've been around for a long, long time, and Some of the intro music and some of the graphics are sort of old because they've been doing it a long time, and but they are very passionate about homebrewing. That is their thing, and they have a lot of recipes. They have a website. You can get silicone pints. You can get logbooks because homebrewers should document the way that they do things, the process that they go through and all of those things. So Basic Brewing Radio is certainly a resource that I had listened to, going to. It's on my podcast list every week. I don't get to it every week because of, the commitment that we've made to Cincinnati craft beer and craft beer podcasting has pushed some of the regular things I used to listen to off to the side. But for those interested in homebrewing and say, well, what do I do now? Yes, there are resources out there. And I just want to put a bug in Paradise's ear. It wouldn't be terrible if you spent 15 or 20 minutes once a week or once every 2 weeks to talk to the homebrewing community and maybe, whether it's, talk about a recipe or talk about a brew or, give some thoughts, some words of wisdom to the homebrew community.
Or even expanding on that, once a month, have like a 1 hour homebrewers night to where an hour before the tap room opens to the public. If you're a home brewer, because you know that most of the people working there are going to be there an hour before those doors open anyway, making sure everything's fine. Hey, if you're a home brewer and you have questions about home brewing, stop on in. We'll have some people on hand that would be more than happy to talk to you. We'll share some of our knowledge, answer some of your questions. I think that could still be an amazing resource if they have the availability to do that.
Yeah, and the thing is, everybody who might have any... be miffed in any way that this is happening, just think about it. The number of grains, the number of hops, the number of yeast that's available, the amount of things that you need to procure from a business standpoint. It's so much easier to procure now from an online standpoint where they have all the inventory, they have all the resources, running a homebrew shop, from the hoses. A homebrew shop is not just malts, grain, yeast. Homebrew shop is CO2. It's can you get your CO2 there? It's can you get your can you get a corny keg? Can you get different attachments and different things, all these little different things that all these homebrewers need is like to supply those, to stock those, to see the turn in those, the homebrewing books, whether you have them, the right ones, the ones that people want. It's so much to keep up with, and the sell-through I think is hard to gauge and to manage to be a profitable business. Honestly, it's probably more profitable and more sensible of an online business where you're just sort of a middle person, filtering out to everybody else. But the knowledge, being able to speak to somebody in the knowledge, I think that's
almost more valuable than getting the actual equipment from them. Yes,
absolutely.
Hopefully once things kind of calm down and anything that they have left over from the homebrew equipment they were selling, I'd love to see them be able to expand their tap room into the front of the space that was the homebrew store, essentially. Don't know what their plans are. They haven't mentioned it. I don't know why they wouldn't kind of expand the tap room farther into that area, give space for more people to show up to enjoy more of their beer. But yeah, I don't want to say like I'm happy to see a portion of their business close, but I'm happy that they are doing what they feel they need to do to keep the most important part of their business that they feel is the most important part, the brewery aspect, the taproom aspect, going strong. So
yeah, that's what ultimately is going to keep the business alive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just get rid of the couplers and the gaskets and the manifolds and the all the little things that you need to stock for that one time somebody needs something.
Hey, maybe they could hold on to some of that stuff to bolt the chairs to the floor so you don't get knocked off your chair by a super sweet dog.
Somebody did
when they're there.
Wrecked, knocked off a chair. But anyways, yes. So Paradise Brewing closing the homebrew part of their business.
Yes.
Like we said, there are few places to get home brewing supplies and ingredients on hand. Listerman is one where it's a little more sort of on the vein of on a brewer's sort of place. Jungle Gyms is more along the lines of I just need a kit, or I need something in an emergency, or I just need, a couple of ounces or a half ounce or an ounce of this hop or this yeast. Everything else can be procured basically online from a resource that that you can easily access. The knowledge, though, with the people is really the difference.
Right, yeah, and that's what I was going to say, that aside from the knowledge of the people that ran the homebrew store, that are running still existing homebrew stores and departments in existing Cincinnati, the Cincinnati area, do you see this impacting Cincinnati homebrewers on a grand scale, or do you think that it may not be noticed as much just because of, as you said, the kind of online presence of being able to buy this? And the only reason I ask is because it is a Cincinnati brewery that is still able to be present, fully functional, by closing this one aspect of their business.
I don't see it being in any way needle moving or devastating aspect. And here's the reason why I say that. I'm going to give a recent example. Okay. So when I started homebrewing back, 17 years ago or something like that, that's one thing. I had a problem with, at the place I don't work at, we call a mechanical company. For mechanical things, obviously dishwashers, freezers, that sort of thing.
Sure.
I said, hey, the soda gun's not working properly. I've got a couple of buttons, pour CO2. The other buttons, it just pours syrup, not CO2. Anyway, so this guy's a jack of all trades.
Sure.
And so he comes back to me like 20, 30 minutes later, and he shows me a picture, and he says, hey, look, in your soda gun, these two things were wrong. These two things were switched. I was like, how the hell do you know that? Like, how can you fix my freezer? How can you fix my freezer? How can you understand what's wrong with this plumbing drain? How can you know what's wrong with this dishwasher? And then you just know what's wrong with my soda gun. And he said, well, I was on the phone with support, and I just looked it up online, and I figured out that these things were different, or these things needed to be changed. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's not inherent knowledge. It's not like your parents passed this knowledge down to you. It's not like your mentor in the company passed this knowledge down to you. You just looked online. And so that's the way it is today.
Sure.
Right? And
what's nice is that knowledge isn't going anywhere. Just the physical, like the ability to walk into a brick and mortar store to get the one or two components you might need. A small segment of that availability in Cincinnati is going away with this. But again, that knowledge from the people that were there is still going to be present in the Cincinnati craft beer community.
And all of the publications that the craft beer community, whether it be through podcasting or through books or through the different publications from the Homebrewers Association or the Craft Brewers Association, they are going to give you a lot of information. I know when hazy IPAs started that a lot of people wanted to be very reserved about how they were doing this, and it's not really a secret anymore.
No.
You don't need to quote unquote figure it out. There's information out there, and you can do this. hell, Mitch Steele wrote the book on IPA a long time ago when he was head brewer at Stone. There's a book out about hazy IPA. There's a book out about brewing with, things forged in the wild. There's a book about home brewing with cannabis. We can figure all this out.
Right. All the information is out there. Again, just the brick and mortar. If you're one of those people that likes to walk into a brick and mortar store, talk face to face with someone instead of reading something online or just in a book, again, that education, that information from the people isn't going anywhere. Just the ability to get those components from a brick and mortar store is.
Well, and I could see the day where that comes back.
Oh, sure. I would agree
definitely
with that.
could see the day where that comes back.
I would agree.
And if you're a home brewer that's passionate, find a club. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing I'd say. If you're a lone wolf, that's fine. I was a lone wolf. But if you're one who needs a community, find a club and go for it. So.
Sounds good. Well, was there anything else that Cincinnati Brewery news related that we needed to touch on, or does that kind of wrap up what we had found out about this past week for episode 2-ish of CBN, Cincinnati Brewery, whatever we're going to end up calling these mini episodes where we let you know about some of the news and not just the calendar events or the podcast recaps, but some of the actual news related to the Cincinnati craft beer scene that we want to share with you. If you guys know of something going on in the Cincinnati brewery world that you feel is newsworthy, is worth talking about, let us know.
You should.
We are at Truth Beer Pod on all your favorite social media platforms, or shoot us an email, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to enjoy this amazing brisket from Mo. We're going to buy Jake another beer or two to celebrate his new engagement and his new home.
For sure.
And Marco, I will see you back here on Tuesday, right?
Let's do it, Julia.
Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Have a good one, everybody.